Hi everyone. In this video we'll learn how to sort a one-dimensional array in Java. I'm using BlueJ for this, so let's start by creating a new class. Let's name the class as sort and okay. So right click on this, open editor and maximize this window. Okay, and delete this code and this code also, we don't need it. Let's remove this code and change the return type of the method to void. And change the name of the method to cal, and we are not going to pass any parameter to this. We'll be making use of scanner class to enter the elements of the array. Okay, and we'll be taking 5 elements of the array. Okay, so first, for using scanner class, we have to import a package java.util.star. Okay, if you're using scanner class, you have to import this package. So you have to write this line, import java.util.star. After that, within this class, within this method, let's create an instance of scanner class, scanner sc. Sc is an instance of the scanner class. You can give it any name. I'm choosing to call it sc. So scanner sc is equal to new scanner. Okay, and within this you have to write system.in. This is something which we have to write because we'll be taking input from the keyboard. Once you've written this, after this let's declare a 1D array of 5 elements. So how do we declare a 1D array? We can say int, the name of the array is a, give the square brackets, is equal to new int 5, because we want 5 elements of the array. It can also be declared like this, int, you can give the square brackets here, a is equal to new int 5. Okay, so whichever way you declare, both are correct. So I'll keep the first one and delete this. Now after this, let us declare 2 variables, int I comma j, and a third one also we'll need t. Okay, now firstly we have to input the elements of the array. So we'll use a for loop for that. For I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Now within this, open the curly braces of the for loop. Now let's write system.out.println and enter a number. Okay, and now we will write a0 is equal to sc.next int. We'll make use of this method to enter a number. It should not be a0, it should be ai. Okay, and now we'll close the for loop, curly braces of the for loop. So this statement, after once this for loop is executed, we will enter 5 numbers to this. Okay, after that now we have to sort the array. Okay, so let me write the logic first. For I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and then we are going to use 2 for loop, nested for loop. Then we will write for j is equal to I plus 1, j less than 5, j plus plus. Within this, open the curly braces, we'll write if ai is greater than aj, then we will write t is equal to ai is equal to aj, and aj is equal to t. Okay, close the if, close the for, close the outer for. Okay, and so this, after this we should use for again to print the sorted array. So for I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and now we'll print the sorted array. So it will be system.out.println. Let's print a of I. Okay, and let's print a message here, that is system.out.println sorted array is. Okay, let's save this. Now before I run it, let's understand this program. What we are doing, if we start from here, because we are using a scanner class, so we have to make this, we have to import this package. After that, we create an instance of the scanner class. The name of the instance is SC, and this is how we write scanner. S should be capital of scanner. After that, we declare an array of 5 elements. This is how we declare an array in Java. Then since we are accepting the 5 elements we are taking the value of the 5 elements of array from the user, so we're making use of scanner class for that. So sc.nextInt AI. So because it is an array, the first index would be 0. So it starts from 0. So 0 is the first element of the array. So the 5 elements of the array would be A0, as you already must be knowing, A1, A2, A3 and A4. Okay, so these are the 5 elements of array. It always starts from A0. So that is why we have started the for loop for I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. After that, we have to sort the array. So let's suppose the 5 elements entered by the user are, let's suppose he enters 4, 2, then he enters 7, 3 and let's say 8. So these are the values. Now once this array is sorted, the output should be, the sorted output would be 2, 3, 4, 7 and 8. So this is the output which we want. Now how does the logic work? If you see here, we start from I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and within the outer for loop we have another nested for loop. So it starts from j is equal to I plus 1. So if I is 0, then j is 1. So j starts from 1. So for one iteration of I, the for loop for j, the j will be iterated 5 times. Okay. So here, when the value of I is 0, so the j will be starting from 1 and 2, 3, 4, it will continue till 4. That means j will continue 4 times. So we are saying if ai is greater than aj. So what is ai? That means I is 0. So ai means a0, the value at a0. What is the value at a0? It is 4. So if 4 is greater than aj, what is j? J is 1. So that means a1. So if 4 is greater than a1, so is the number at a0 greater than a1? Is 4 greater than a2? Yes, it is. So in case the number is greater, then what we are doing? We are swapping the values. Swapping means interchanging the value of a0 and a1. So for that, we have taken a third variable t. We store the value of a0 in t. Okay. So we store the value of a0 in t. So what does t become? T becomes 4, isn't it? And then we say a0 is equal to a1. ai is equal to aj. That means a0 is equal to a1. So what is the value of a1? 2. So a0 becomes 2. Okay, and aj is equal to t. That means a1 is equal to t. So a1 becomes 4 because the value of t is 4. So here we get a1 is equal to 4. So this is how swapping is taking place. So after the first iteration, so the numbers have swapped. That means 2 comes here and 4 comes here. Okay, let me delete this. So here we delete this, and okay, so here let's delete this code. Okay, so now after the first iteration, this of j, the new values would be 2 is here, and then we have 4, and then we have 7, and then we have 3, and then we have 8. Now after this, the value of j becomes 2. Okay, and I is still 0. So value of j becomes 2, but I is still 0. So I is equal to 0, but j has become 2. So now what will happen? It will compare the value if ai, that means if a0 is greater than a2. So what is the number at a0 now? The number at a0 is 2. And what is the number at a2? It is 7. So is 2 greater than 7? No. So nothing will happen. It will not enter this if. Now if again j becomes 3. So when j becomes 3, so that means this number, the number at 4th position, 0, 1, 2, 3. So if is a0 greater than a3, is I is still 0 and j becomes 3. So that means if a0 is greater than a3, a0 is 2, and what is the number at a3? 0, 1, 2, 3. So the number at A3 is 3. So is 2 greater than 3? No, it is not. So nothing will happen. No swapping will take place. Then it will compare. Then it will again increment the value of j. So I is again 0, but j has become 4. So that means if A0, that is 2, is greater than A4, that means 8. It is not. So nothing will happen. So when it completes first iteration, that means one complete round of this for loop, this is the positioning of the elements. This is how the elements are positioned. Now after this, once one cycle of j loop is completed, so I becomes 1. Okay. So now the value of I is 1. So j starts from, j becomes I plus 1. That means 1 plus 1, 2. So j becomes 2. Okay. Now what will it do? It will say if a1 is greater than aj. Okay, a1, that means, see, after the first iteration, now we have got the smallest number at the first place. Now in the second time, when I becomes 1, it starts from the second position. So if a1, 4 is greater than a2, 7, it is not. So nothing will happen. Then the value of j is again incremented, j becomes 3. So when j becomes 3, I is still 1. So if a1 is greater than, that means if 4 is greater than 3, it is. So now the swapping will take place. So again, the swapping, for swapping we have taken a third variable t. Okay, so t gets the value of ai. That means t gets the value of, so t becomes 4 and ai, that means a1 becomes, a1 gets the value of what? A1 gets the value of this 3. Okay, this 3. A1 gets a value of 3. So A1 becomes 3. Here let's say A1 becomes 3, and what is the value of A3? So A3, that means 0, 1, 2, 3 here. So at A3 we will have 4. So interchanging takes place. So after this iteration, the elements of the array would be 2, 3, 7, and then we'll have 2, 3, then we'll have 7, and then 4, and then 8. Okay, so now in the next iteration, j becomes 4. Okay, so it will compare this element, that means second element a1 with a8. So 3 is not greater than 8, so nothing will happen. Okay, no swapping will take place. So after this second completion of the for loop of the j loop, this is the positioning of the elements. Now the value of I becomes 2. Okay, so now I becomes 2 and j will start from I plus 1, that means j becomes 3. So it will compare the a2 with a3. What is a2? This is a0, a1, a2. So it will compare 7 with 4. Is 7 greater than 4? Yes. So the swapping will take place. 4 will come here and 7 will come here. So after this, what happens? 2, 3, 4, 7 and 8. Okay. Now j becomes 4. So j becomes 4. So here a2. Okay. 4 is compared with 8. So 4 is not greater than 8. So nothing will happen. So again the j loop is completed. Now again it comes here. I becomes 3. Okay. So I becomes 3 and j becomes 4. Okay. So that means a3. The number, what is the number at a3? 0, 1, 2, 3. Is 7 and what is a4? 8. So is 7 greater than 8? It is not. So nothing will happen. So then j becomes okay, so this is completed. So then after that I becomes 4. So when I becomes 4, what is the value of j? J becomes 5. Okay, because j is always starting from I plus 1. Okay, so is a4 greater than a5? If you see, we do not have any fifth element, so it will not go here. So this will stop. So when you come out of the loop, you come here, you print. So see, we have already got the sorted array. So this is how sorting takes place in, this is one of the way we can sort the array, 1D array in Java. So for I is equal to 1, I less than 5, I plus plus. For j is equal to I plus 1, j less than 5, j plus plus. If AI is greater than AJ, then this is a logic for swapping, and after that we are printing. So let's see whether this will work or not. So let's delete this code, save it and compile it. After compiling, no syntax errors. Okay, minimize this code and now right click, new sort. Okay, and you get this, right click, void cal. Okay, so see, it is asking us to enter a number. So let's enter any number. Then we have to enter 5 numbers, 4, 1 and 5. So you see, we are getting the sorted output. The sorted array is 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. So this is how sorting of 1D array in Java. This is the logic for sorting of 1D array in Java. Okay, so if you like this video, please click on share, like and subscribe to the channel estudy.in. Thank you.